welcome to the September 20th, 2018 board meeting of Johnson County Community College Trustees, which we now call to order. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, welcome. We appreciate your attendance. Roll call and recognition of visitors.
Okay, this evening's guests include Dick Carter, Brian Batliner, Rachel Koger, Tanya Merrigan, Cindy Bowling, Stacy Obringer Varhall, Mike Slagle, Todd White, Cheryl Batliner, Dennis Batliner, Roberta Eveslage, and Susan Tiffany.
Thank you. Awards and recognitions, Dr. Sopcich.
Thank you, Dr. Cook. You know, Johnson County is fortunate to have some of the finest K-12 school districts in the country within our county borders. Their partnership with us is essential for us to be able to provide, all of us together, the best opportunities for our students to achieve success. Tonight, we are very honored to have members of leadership of the Blue Valley School District with us. I'd like to share with you just some recent experiences I've had with Blue Valley. A week or two ago, we had Dr. White, members of his administration, and perhaps every principal, or at least their vice principal, but it was primarily principals, come to our college for a meeting to talk about opportunities for their high school students in career and technical education. It was very exciting. I cannot recall when we had such a gathering on our campus before, and it bodes so well for the futures of those students. I had the good pleasure of going to the Blue Valley Educational Foundation breakfast, and it was such a demonstration of compassion that Blue Valley has for their students, and also a demonstration of the amazing talent that these students have. That talent just doesn't happen. It comes from the fact of the incredible leadership and they have in their classrooms, at their administrative level, and also from those who sit around the Board of Education. So tonight, we have some representatives from those groups. I'd like to introduce you. Please feel free to stand up. First of all, Cindy Bowling, Board of Education President. Cindy? Terrific. We'll hold our applause till we're finished here. The Vice President of the Board of Education, Stacy Obringer Varhall. Stacy. Deputy Superintendent Tanya Merrigan. Tanya, thank you so much for being here. Deputy Superintendent Mike Slagle. Mike. And Dr. Todd White, Superintendent of the Blue Valley Schools. Let's give him a round of applause. I'd like to share with you just a few of the accolades the Blue Valley School District has received. 4 Blue Valley high schools were named to the U.S. News and World Report's Best High Schools list. Blue Valley's graduation rate is 97%. The CAPS network, CAPS stands for the Center for Advanced Professional Studies, has expanded to 31 programs across 60 school districts in 10 states. The CAPS network continues to gain greater national visibility and awareness. Wherever we go, it seems like anywhere in this country, people will say, oh, you're from Overland Park, that's where CAPS is. Quite frankly, it gets a little bit annoying, but it's congratulations to all of you to make that happen. Blue Valley students outperformed nearly every educational system in the world tested in math and science on the PISA exam, which is the Program for International Student Assessment. Apparently, we came in second place to Shanghai, China. I'm sure you're working on taking the lead in that area. That's an incredible array of accomplishments for the Blue Valley School District. And now a bit about its leadership, and that's in the form of Dr. Todd White. Todd took over the Blue Valley School Superintendency in the spring of 2016. Todd, I'm only going to read a brief snippet here from your website. I mean, it goes on pages after page after page. You're welcome to skip that. Oh, no. His experience in educational leadership includes a combined 13 years as superintendent for the Harrisonville School District and also the North Kansas City School District. Todd was the Missouri Superintendent of the Year in 2015 and Outstanding Superintendent in 2013 from the Missouri Association of School Administrators. White was named a 2016 Outstanding Superintendent in the first annual Speak Up, Shout Out Awards for the district's exceptional participation in the Speak Up Research Project for Digital Learning. In 2014, he was awarded the Richard Knoll Award of Excellence in Government Service by Northland Neighborhoods and for his understanding that strong neighborhoods build strong schools. White was also named the 2015 Missouri Interscholastic Press Association Administrator of the Year for providing outstanding service to journalism. So Todd, we appreciate what you all do for us, and we look forward to working more closely with you in the future. The podium is yours.
Thank you for those kind words. We greatly appreciate that. As you can see, we have wonderful leadership in our district. We have fantastic teachers. We believe some of the very best, not only in the region, but certainly in the nation. And really, the secret sauce of this is our students and our community support for its public schools. And we're honored to have an opportunity to impact that in a very positive way in the Blue Valley schools. Specifically, with regards to the partnership with Johnson County Community College, Dr. Sopich mentioned the meeting that we had the other day. We actually had all 5 of our high school principals here. And because we believe very strongly in the partnership that can be obtained here for the future, but also building on the wonderful reputation and the stronghold that we've had in both of our institutions in serving students in the educational venue. We look forward to working with Dr. McLeod on future opportunities that I know meetings are already set up. We've got a lot of things underway. I think we're really going to set a standard for the type of collaboration and partnership that can come from higher ed institutions, but also in public education. I look forward to that, and we're very honored that you have taken the time this evening to say a little bit about our work, but more importantly about the collaborative environment that we work in. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Todd.
Todd, on behalf of the Board of Trustees and our administration and the entire college, we'd like to present you and your team this token of our appreciation, a clock in appreciation of the partnership. And it's not to make sure that you're there on time. I was fortunate to be in Harrisonville at the beginning of Todd's career, and I appreciated, Dr. Sopcich, you talking about his compassion for all students. Todd is very passionate about his compassion to make sure that all students succeed. And so I hope this clock is a reminder that the time is always now to make sure that every student has an opportunity to succeed and to become the person they were meant to become, just as you are becoming the person you were meant to become. So congratulations, and thank you for the partnership.
Appreciate it.
Hey, Todd, before you go, what about the future with Blue Valley? What types of things are you going to be doing? I know we didn't rehearse this or anything, nor did I give you a heads up, but what kind of things are you looking to be doing in the future?
Well, you mentioned one of those that is certainly on our horizon, which is our career and technical education opportunities that we have for our students. As you know, part of our work in Blue Valley is not only to continue and raise the academic prowess of our students and the opportunities that they have there, but also the whole child experience. We know that there is an equilibrium and a balance that needs to be obtained for us to graduate citizens that walk into this world and can be good people, that can serve our institutions well, fill the seats that we now occupy to a certain degree. So we've got a variety of things that are on both the academic side, but also, if you will, on the social and emotional side of our work. We spent some time today collaborating with Nancy and others with regards to an entire Johnson County focus on that as well. So I could bore you with additional things that we have in place, but our Chinese immersion program has gone extremely well. We're now looking for the next immersion program to have in our schools. And again, we're also building and growing because, quite honestly, you, along with the Blue Valley Schools, have made this a destination for parents and want to bring their children, and so we've got some high expectations to live up to, but we're up for the challenge.
Well, Todd, I just got to say, that meeting the other day, we all go to a lot of meetings, and so often you wonder if anything ever comes from them. But that meeting the other day had such an air about it that there is no doubt in my mind that we're going to make things happen, and that's because of the leadership that all of you provide. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thanks,
it very
Todd.
much. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the open forum. The open forum is an agenda item at each regularly scheduled board meeting. Speakers must register by completing this registration form prior to the open forum agenda item, giving his or her name, city of residence, name of any group he or she is representing, the topic, and a brief 1 or 2 sentence of summary of the presentation. Each registered speaker is allotted 5 minutes to speak behind the podium. If there are a significant number of registered speakers, the time will be reduced for each registered speaker. In addressing the board, registered speakers are asked to remain at the podium, should be respectful and civil, and are encouraged to address individual personnel or student matters directly with the appropriate college department. Personal insults, profanity, or language that is not appropriate to be aired live on television, and offensive comments based on protected status class are prohibited. The chair of the board has the authority to keep order and impose reasonable restrictions on any disruptive behavior of those participating in the board meeting. We have 3 registered speakers tonight. The first is Daniel Corcoran of Olathe. Would you please come to the podium, Daniel, and give your address, and you have 5 minutes.
My name is Daniel Corcoran. My address is 14201 at West 138th Terrace, Olathe, Kansas. What I wanted to talk to you about for the 5 minutes I appreciate the time to listen to, thank you, is JUCO's always been invented, exceptional ways to make people feel like they're part of the system. I'm a veteran. And so you've always made ways that people feel like they want to be part of the system. My thing I want to talk to you about tonight is autism. Autism is, the facts are 1 out of 66 kids will be born with autism. The number of college-age kids that have autistic age has doubled in the last 10 years. These kids, young women and women, sorry. This is personal because I have an autistic daughter. And these people are very smart. The only thing they have problems with is social skills and speech. I know some adults that they're not autistic. They have social problems and probably will never get them straight, but that's another story in itself. What I would like, and my daughter is a student at JUCO here, the best school for her. You have by far the best support system compared to K-State or KU, that hands down. What I would like to see is you guys, you're part of the solution, just expand that. I would like to see Star School of Autism on this campus because next 20 years, 2 to 5% of your kids or more are be autistic. It has nothing to do with cognitive abilities. Most of them are very smart. If you look at some people that in history, different type of mindsets, they fall on the autism spectrum. I've always told my kids, be boring, everybody was the same. Sorry. So I would like to see the start of school autism. If nothing more related to groundwork. The only school in the United States college setting that has a school autism incorporated in their school is the Western University of Kentucky. They recruit 50 students a year. They fill them up fast because they know these students academically can do the work. Their mind just works a little bit different, that's all. And they enrich the experience of everybody. I don't feel like they should be punished because they have something they didn't ask for. They can make some wonderful contributions. They just need a chance. And there's more autistic kids, parents of autistic kids in Kansas than most people realize. They just want to be accepted. They have hopes and dreams like you and I. And I think to deny them education, whether it be a formal education or a trade school, is, me personally, wrong. I find it very offensive. So I just really would like to see JUCO be even more of a solution they are right now and start a school autism, if not lay the groundwork, because these kids can make great things happen. So that's my point. I apologize for being upset. I get emotional about this, as you might tell. So I say, please, think about it. I implore you to think about it, because these students enrich all experience for all students. And I also recommend you have K-State. My daughter went K-State. K-State's a very bad school. If you're different, it's a very bad school. Very bad. So I would have, they have a kind of called Landon Lectures. They have different people come in and talk about it. They had a person named Dr. Temple Grandin talk. She's an autism activist, has a PhD in animal science, adjunct professor at Colorado State University. This is a person, and my daughter and her had a lot similar characteristics, that, hey, look what she accomplished, despite her label. And I tell people, it's a label. It's just, it defines what they have. It doesn't define success or failure. It's part of their DNA, for lack of better words. So I was just like to say, JUCO started a school of autism. If nothing more, lay the groundwork, because like I said, there's a lot of greats autistics.
Daniel, thank you. We don't usually respond as board members in the open forum.
Right.
But I just want to say a couple things to you. Number one, don't ever apologize for your emotion, your passion for this project. I don't have the experience you've had with it, but as a K through 12 educator and a daughter who's currently a principal of a school,
Right.
and when we get together, she says, Dad, you just don't understand. We have more autistic children coming all the
It is.
time.
This next, I write my research, next 20 years, 2 to 5% or greater are autistic. I mean, Royals incorporate places for them to enjoy the game because it's quiet. They can say no. Just because there's a noise about them doesn't mean they can't enjoy the game. So it's, and last thing is, you've seen the television Year of Inclusion? I would like to make that a reality, not just a slogan and stuff like that. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, and thank you for your service to the country. Appreciate it. Thank you. Our next speaker is Brian Batliner. Brian, you have 5 minutes.
First of all, I want to also say thank you to Daniel for your service, and that was an amazing presentation. Thank you. Brian Batliner, 11420 West 104th Street, Overland Park, Kansas, 66214. You all know why I'm here. So I wanted to just come out again and provide another update of where we're at and continue to talk about track and field. First, a quick story that I think illustrates how connected this community is, and especially via track. Yesterday, I'm down the street at the Starbucks on College Boulevard. I walk in, and sure enough, sitting there speaking to a gentleman is the local business owner that printed 1,000 of these cards for us so that we could go out and speak with parents and grandparents and coaches about our efforts to reinstate track here at the college. He's talking to a gentleman, and he says, gets all excited and says, you got to meet this guy. He knows everybody in track in our community. And I said, oh, great. So we start talking, and he says, well, who have you spoken to about this so far? And he said, how about the developer of Prairie Fire? He was a 400-meter runner. I said, no. And he goes, how about Mayor Gerlach? He was a high jumper at Kansas State University. I said, I didn't know that. So we continue to talk, and about 15 minutes later, a woman who had been sitting behind us gets up. She starts to leave, and she stops, and she says, you know, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry I was listening in on your conversation, but I just have to say, I'm a track coach at Blue Valley Southwest High School, and I'm in marketing, and how can we help with this effort? And, oh, by the way, my husband's golfing buddies with Mayor Gerlach. So it's just amazing, and you all know this, you've experienced this, the connections of this community, the networking, how many people are out there that are willing to help as well. And we've experienced a lot of that over the last month. We've been out at cross-country meets speaking with parents and coaches and high school kids and grandparents. We've talked to running stores who have come forward and showed support. I've sent letters out to all over the country, T-shirts out, Save JCCC Track T-shirts out to alumni all over the country. And we're just building an incredible community behind this, and hopefully we can work towards a solution. I do want to thank Dr. Sopcich. He did reach out, and we have had the opportunity to open a dialogue, and I'm super appreciative of that. Where we're at now, though, is we would love your help to continue that dialogue. And We need your help deciding how we can engage this community in a way that we can get a track on campus for the community to enjoy and for kids to participate, and how we can reinstate the programs here and continue that tradition. So help us out. What would be huge is if we could get a certain number of petition signs we need to get. We've got a lot, and somebody else is going to speak about those tonight. If it's letters we need to have sent, a certain number, if it's a dollar amount, if it's a certain number of guaranteed votes to any of you in the next election, just give us a number. Seriously, we will meet it. I believe it. We will meet it because there's a big enough community out there that wants to see this solution. So we're going to keep doing what we do and talking about this because we believe in it. I do see a vision for the future for this program and how it can connect to the community. We walked back in March with about 500 people to show support for the program then, and gosh, wouldn't it be a beautiful thing if we could have another walk in the future and we could put a tape across the start line and we could have a ribbon cutting and we could all walk the brand new track together and go into the future of these programs. So thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
I just want to say, Brian, since you brought up breakfast yesterday, I really appreciated you taking the time out to get together, and really appreciated your sharing your vision of what could be. So thank you very, very much.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Next speaker is Rachel Koger. And Rachel, you have 5 minutes.
Hi there, Rachel Koger. Address is 24853 West 148th Court, Olathe 66061. And as Brian mentioned, I'm here to kind of help with the Team Save JCCC track effort. And I've got some printouts if you would pass those around. I'm here really for 2 reasons. So number 1 is to provide a voice from the community, the people that have been reaching out to us, sharing their stories, conveying to us the reasons why it's important to save the program or do what we can in the effort to save the program. And 2 is to provide you guys with a little bit of relief from hearing from the same guys every single month. I know that Brian, Blake, and Nick, and Dennis, they're all very intense. I live and breathe it every day. So trust me when I say no one wants this issue to be resolved more than I do. And I say that lightheartedly because, honestly, as much as I get tired of hearing about it, I too share the same passion that they do with this cause. I'm a former college athlete. I played soccer at Baker University, and prior to that, competed in just about every sport from childhood through high school, including cross country. So I know personally how important collegiate athletics is in shaping, molding, and transforming the lives of the individuals that participate. But I also know that there's a deeply rooted connection between society and sports. It's not something that we can easily define. It's so broad. It's much bigger than just one fundamental idea or concept. What led me down this path was a podcast that I recently came across, Freakonomics Radio. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but they have a series that they're doing right now called The Hidden Side of Sports. And in that, they discuss the impact of sports on society, not from the economic side of things, but from the social impact side. And they open the first episode with a scene from the Eiffely track where Roger Bannister is attempting to break the 4-minute mile. And if we can just take a second and think about how far the sport has come from that day in 1954. I mean, we just had the new world record set for the marathon at 2 hours, 1 minute, 39 seconds. That's incredible. I mean, I'll do the math, that's an average pace of 4:39 per mile. It's just insane. But my point in all this is that if we could look at sports in the way that mirrors the challenges that we face in everyday life, I think we'd see another perspective. The entire population of the world back then thought that your legs would literally fall off if you pushed the brink of the 4-minute mile. And it just took that one guy to say, wait a second, that doesn't add up. There's no difference between a 4:01 and a 3:59. I think I can do that. And then the floodgates opened and everybody else said, I too think I can do better. So if we relate that to life, we constantly face challenges, decisions like how do we design a new track? How do we fit it into the space that we're provided? How do we fund it? I think it's too easy to say it can't be done. And I think that it's human nature to dig a little bit deeper and say, how are we going to get it done? And I would just urge you, I think, or assure you that the reward is certainly worth the cost here with this cause. The community would stand behind you, stand behind the administration, the board, in that effort to keep fighting for this program. It does provide opportunities to people of all socioeconomic backgrounds. So I think you would have a groundswell of support behind you in fighting to do what we can to keep the program. I know we're short on time, so I'll leave you with just one more example of the impact that running can provide, just running alone, that provides on community. So if we look at the enormous amount of money that's raised for charitable causes by using races, 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, there are people of all ages, all skill levels that are involved in this, and we get a lot of good accomplished via races. I myself initiated a 30-day running challenge in the month of September, and I've been just totally overwhelmed by the generosity and the compassion of people in this Kansas City community and their support of running. I've raised almost $5,000 for the Ronald McDonald House by doing this, and I'm only 20 days into my 30-day challenge. So I just wanted to reiterate that, I hope that we can look back a year from now or 2 years from now, however long it takes to correct this decision and reinstate the program. And we can say everybody in this room did their part and did what they could to make this right for our community. And that's all I have, so thank you very much for your time. And I look forward to seeing everybody at the Lace Up for Learning 5K. We raised a lot of money for Johnson County scholarships.
Rachel, thank you very much. Several months ago, your husband stood at that podium, and now I clearly understand where he got his presentation skills. You did a nice job, nice presentation, and Brian as well. And
They live and breathe, this is their wheelhouse. This is new to me.
tomorrow is always the next day, so.
How many people do you think will be coming to Lace Up that you will have?
Oh,
I'm just kind of
gosh.
curious.
I couldn't put a number on it, but I know we met with the running group on Sunday and just spread the word about the event. We really do want to raise money for Johnson County scholarships. I think it's a great cause, and what a better way to do it than hosting a race. And probably 10 or 20 people surrounding us all immediately said, "Yeah, I'm going to be there. Count me in." So.
President is challenged, and we'd like to
I've
see
heard.
the result of the challenge.
Were they young people or like old slow people? That's what
This could be the
Can I
best.
ask what you're running now? What's your what do I have to
I'm
do?
not like you, I can tell you that. This will be the biggest Lace Up we've probably ever had, and so we want to thank you for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
glad to support it.
Thanks again, Rachel, appreciate it. Next item is the Student Senate report. Mr. Webster.
Hello, welcome, and I just want to say thank you so much for hearing me, and I'm just proud and honored to be here representing the student body here at Johnson County Community College. Just to state for record, my name is Tiger Harris Webster, but it's all right. My real name's Glendower Charles Harris Webster. So
Where
yes.
did Tiger come from?
Well, when I was a kid, I was pretty crazy, and so my parents called me Tiger because that means wild child in South Africa. And I thought that was my name as a kid, and so I started introducing myself as that, and they were just like, let's just let him stay confused, and so, yeah, that's kind of how that got started. But, so I just want to tell you all a little bit about my journey in becoming a student. So I'm a PK, pastor's kid, if you don't know what that is. Normally they're looked upon as either black or white sheep, and I guess you'll find that out throughout the year. My parents are missionaries. My father is an immigrant from South Africa. Actually, a year ago he became an American citizen. And my mom's from San Diego, and I've lived in San Diego, Johannesburg, South Africa, and Auckland, New Zealand. And my family's moved 12 times due to ministry. I went to high school locally at Shawnee Mission Northwest. After high school, I spent a year doing mission work in San Diego, California, in a program called Immersion. It's a leadership program. And after that, I moved back to Kansas just to seek better opportunity. And there was a part of me that really wanted to attend college, but honestly didn't think I could handle the academic workload. Because you see, as a kid, I was diagnosed with dyslexia and ADHD. And these labels held me back for many years. And in high school, it was just very difficult, and I just never really figured out how to do school. And many people just told me that, college isn't for everyone, or we'll think you'll be fine without it. But hearing this, I felt degraded, as if my so-called disabilities made me unworthy to even try. And so part of me wanted just to prove them wrong, and part of them wanted to prove to myself that I could handle college and I could do it. So I got 2 jobs. I painted in the day and served at a bar at night, extending some ministry. But it was, and I paid cash for my first semester, and I just told myself I would give it my all and reevaluate if college was for me. And luckily I had 2 inspiring professors, Dr. Mitchell Rader and Professor Amy Pace, and they really encouraged me to continue with college as well as even seek a leadership role. So after the first semester, I knew this was the right place for me. I became a staff member at Students Admissions Ambassador, gave tours to new students, and then I also joined Student Senate. My first year at Student Senate, our president actually stepped down, and I was elected to be vice president. And then from there, it just encouraged me, inspired me to run for presidency this year. So right now I'm in my 4th semester, and I'm working on my Associates of Liberal Arts to pursue a Bachelor's in Business Administration. This college has been so inspirational to me for many reasons, because the educational program met me where I was and equipped me to be a member of the Honor Society and Pi Phi Kappa. The professors actually care about students here and will meet one-on-one to discuss subject matter or issues you're having with the class. Staff and faculty are genuine and always make sure that your needs are taken care of. And the people and resources and access services, so I could relate to the gentleman earlier, is this really helps you to make it possible to come up with coping skills that allows you to be a good student. Much better than my high school. And so the school's really made it possible for me to believe in myself. And Johnson County Community College not just takes shining students who are already talented at something Johnson County Community College not take shining students who are already talented at something and make them better, but this college takes people who are wandering, haven't found themselves yet, and makes them brilliant and shining students. One of my passions is helping people get connected and feel like they have a community. This is why I am genuinely honored to be student body president here at Johnson County Community College, because I've seen how student involvement through relationships and inclusiveness can inspire, transform, and strengthen individuals and communities. And moreover, to be a member of an organization that implements such values while also equipping other groups to do the same is just an awesome privilege. And this year's already off to a great start with Student Senate. I'm excited because I see the potential in the Student Senate to not only encourage people to have a good time while attending this college, or to encourage people to go to a sporting game or some educational event, but I see a group that understands the true meaning of a community, one that is unified, diverse, and inclusive. And Johnson County Community College inspires learning to transform lives and strengthen communities, and I am a product of what this college can do, and I hope that in my year of presidency that I can empower others to thrive like I have. And so I'm just looking forward to a successful year with you all, and I have a quick PowerPoint to run through with you. But it's a little bit of my story, so thank you. All right, so right up there, Board of Trustees, let's see. I actually do not know. You just click, there you go. All right, so here we have I have a new executive board, new senators. We have the executive ambitions, events accomplished, and events planned. Also, I am very dyslexic, like on the top par. So we caught one spelling error right before I turned it in. So just let me know if there's any more. So our new executive board, I actually have some of my members here. You guys can stand to just be recognized. So these are some of our new executive board members. Sam's our treasurer, Caleb here is our vice president, Fernanda's our secretary, and Ankit couldn't be with us today, but he is the parliamentarian. I put the experience level up there because Caleb and myself are the only senators who have had 1 year of experience. So, yes, Mr.
Tiger, can we maybe find out where y'all went to high school?
Yeah.
I went to Lawrence High School,
Sure.
just across the county from Turner High School. I went to the Southern High School.
Fantastic.
And Ankit's from Australia.
Okay,
so,
super.
Yeah. And so here we have all our new senators. Sonia, who's bolded right there, is our only returning senator from last year. So we have a very fresh student senate, very ambitious. As you can see, even with the names up there, a lot of different countries, ethnicity. So really worked on gaining a proper, diverse student senate just to make a more impactful voice. This is fairly small, and I kind of reduced a little bit, but these are our executive ambitions. We met over the summer and developed these, improving student senate processes. We want to increase student senate visibility to form better relations with students. We want to empower our senators to just know that they have an impacting voice on campus, efficiently allocate student funds, which is one of our primary responsibilities given to us from you, And increasing collaboration, this is probably our most important. We want to increase collaboration with campus leadership, with clubs and organizations, student life, other departments, and we also really want to promote Get Involved, which is a new website outline for club leaders. This is the core of what Student Senate represents, collaborating with other groups to help students succeed. So this is something that we're going to be striving for this year. Executive ambition, or these are some events that we've accomplished so far. We tabled over a 2-week span and collaborated over 50 hours of tabling. We hosted a collab social. In the collab, we met a lot of students, learned their ideas, got to work with, just working with them on where we should spend our time. We accomplished the elections, CAF Crazy event we had a table, clubs and organizations, involvement fairs, summer planning, and we also had a fantastic opportunity to go to this function called American Student Government Association, which is nationwide organization that invites student senators to come in and just talk about how to establish power, how to establish goals, how to work with your administration. It was also in Orlando, Florida, so that was great. I strongly suggest that you all take leadership conferences there. So it was just a great bonding time with the executive board, and we really learned a lot about what a student senate is and what their responsibilities are. Events planned so far, you're familiar with some of these. One I'm really excited about is Interclub Council. So we're going to be revamping this once a month. We're going to get all our club leaders and anyone around campus that's going to be hosting an event that's open for all students. They get to come to this, and it's just a social where they get to come, tell about their event, and then encourage those leaders to spread the word to their clubs and organizations. Space Committee, so with the new buildings that are being built, and as well as some spaces are just opening up. So this is a time for students to come to the collab. We're going to have a blueprint out there, and there's a few areas where the administration had wanted students, expertise, not expertise, but opinions on certain spaces and where they should be used. So they're going to have little sticky notes, and they're going to be able to put like coffee shop should go here, or closet should go there, or student senate should go there. JCC Gives, we're going to be collecting nominations mid-October. And so that's going to be a fantastic opportunity just to bless some families with some Christmas gifts or just to help them out of a situation. I skipped the soccer game event. That's an example of us collaborating with the student lounge to get people to go to a sporting game. And Trick or Treat for Kids. It's going to happen October 26th. And Photos with Santa, December 5th. So I'll be having more details on who we're recruiting for that. And that's my PowerPoint. So thank you. Did you have any questions?
Trustee Lindstrom.
Mr. Webster, thank you for your presentation. You know, I've been here now 6 years, and one of the things that I've been most impressed with is the representatives of the Student Senate, and you fulfilled that expectation, so good job. But you mentioned something early on that I'd like you to briefly expand on, and that is that you chose to move back here from San Diego to, I thought you said something to the effect of to expand your opportunities. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yes. Well, the opportunity to surf and to explore and to hike are definitely more affluent out there. But the opportunity for business world, as well as if you don't have connections in San Diego, it's really hard to get started. And so I was working a construction job and making like $11 an hour, which was like the minimum wage out there. And I was on a roof without any safety ropes, and I just realized I could be back in Kansas, going to this awesome community college, making more money, and gas doesn't cost $4 a gallon. And so that's really what inspired my decision to come back.
Had you not made that decision, we were willing to give up 2 first-round draft picks for you.
The reason that Trustee Lindstrom asks about that is he was drafted by the Chargers. He was in San Diego from Massachusetts, and he has chosen to live here because he thinks it's just a great place to live. So you have something in common with him.
Well, the Chargers are going through a bit of a transition.
They're not there any longer.
Yeah.
I just want to apologize, as I was doing something over here. We're trying to get Trustee Cross on the phone, and he texted me.
Well, I think he is.
So, okay, so.
I'm here.
All right. I didn't want anybody to think I was ignoring you. Thank you for your
that's
presentation.
great.
It gets I think each year, the Student Senate President's Report has gotten better and more detailed and told us more about what's going on. And it's very important. I love what you've got planned for the year.
Well, thank you.
Make sure to hit us up at October meeting for the JCCC Gives.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get hit up late when we get the report about how many, and some of us might donate.
Great, yeah.
So if
yeah.
we were moved to write that check tomorrow, would it be best to give it to Terry Schließ so that she can get it to you?
I'm not familiar on the process of which that will be going.
We'll see that we don't wait till November this year.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll make
Thank
sure
you.
to pick that up a little bit.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Great
well,
report.
thank you.
Thank you, Tax.
Appreciate it. Trustee Cross, I failed to acknowledge that you were present or trying to be present by phone. We understand you're out west in San Diego. How's that? Not San Diego, but California. So thanks for joining us. College lobbyist report, Mr. Carter.
Mr. Chairman, we really need to entertain a discussion about moving my position on the report. I used to follow Bruce Hartman, and he always came with good news of new art gifts and financial gifts to the NERMAN, and then I follow the regular parade of awardees and those receiving recognition for what's going on here at the college, and now I've got Tiger.
We do that to try and set an example to lift up your game of good news. We can't do much
Well,
more.
I've been living the example. I spent last weekend out at Scout Camp training other adult leaders, so let me see how I do this evening. I think many of you probably wonder why I always start the report with a little bit of an update on what the financial picture of Kansas looks like, and I hope tonight is another good example of why I do that, because that does drive the conversation in Topeka, and for the first time, this conversation is going to be a little different. The numbers are up slightly. In the past, we probably would have called them flat. You can still call them flat if you want. It's up about $7.9 million for the month ending August. That represents the 14th or 15th month now of steady increasing revenues for the state of Kansas, and that's almost all due to the change in the tax policy that started in January 1 of 2017. Why I think it's a little different this evening is I've never talked about an increase or an uptick in internet sales tax collections. And that's something that, that we know there has been leakage. That's the term that we use in the state of Kansas. We think it's a big number. We don't exactly know how much it is, but that particular column or that piece of the pie is responsible for the increase in this month's month-end financial statement for the state of Kansas. Individual income tax, in fact, is down a little bit, and that number has been up since the change in the tax policy in 2017. I do think that we'll see an uptick in September and October. Those are typically times where late filers send their money into the state, and so likely next month and the following, we'll see some larger numbers. But why do I talk about this? It all plays into the conversations that you have on a regular basis when you're approving budgets. And if we see a return of a balanced tax model where there is sales tax coming back into the coffers, both locally and at the state level, that changes what that financial picture looks like. It also changes what things like tax lids or property tax valuation or conversations about alternative property valuation or dark store theory looks like. And so, again, we'll be watching this very closely, and I think the Consensus Revenue Estimating Group, when they meet in November, will also probably begin looking at what that looks like. And a lot of that has to do with the Supreme Court case that was just handed down from South Dakota. We'll see if there's any legislation that pops up this year. We've had some every year for the past several years, but we'll see if there's any this year that changes what that looks like. Not only at the federal level and or in Kansas. That takes us to a conversation about mill levies. Just this past week, we've learned of an effort afoot by Butler County. The Butler County Commission has passed a resolution requesting the establishment of a statewide mill levy for community colleges across Kansas. The Kansas Association of Counties is meeting this week. Their legislative policy advisory group that meets and approves their legislative agenda will be meeting tomorrow to review that request. And that if approved, and I don't know where it will go, I don't know what that conversation will look like, could have a very different impact on what community college funding looks like in the state of Kansas. There's no specifics tied to their to their recommendation. We just know that they're calling for a statewide mill levy for community colleges across the state. They do reference in their resolution Senate Bill 345 from 1999, which authorized the buy-down of out-district tuition. That was never fully funded. They claim in their resolution that only 20% of the students that attend their institution in their county are residents of Butler County. So again, it's very interesting that this conversation comes to you through the Kansas Association of Counties and not through the higher education circuit, that normally these types of legislative proposals would come up through those chains. I don't know where the KACCT will be on this. I've had some conversations with those connected to KACCT that indicate that they're not aware. The Board of Regents was not aware that this proposal was coming, and so they're seeking information at the same rate that I am about where this might be going. So please understand that this won't be the end of this conversation that we're having, and we'll see where things go tomorrow. On that note, the Board of Regents just today at their meeting approved their budget request and have refined the numbers a little bit more. I told you last month that the numbers for the state universities would be $50 million in 2020 and $35 million additional in 2021. Those numbers remain the same. The community college and technical college numbers have bumped up a little bit, and that number is $26.4 million for fiscal year 2020 request and $28.2 million for 2021. There's an attached worksheet that comes directly from the board that will be part of their submission, not only to the Legislative Budget Committee, but to the governor's office for the governor's budget recommendations. Now, what that actually looks like come January, we're not sure. We're going to have a new administration. That is for certain. We'll have a new budget director. We do have dollars that are coming into the coffers. We still have a Supreme Court edict that K-12 funding needs a little bit more. So again, that will all be part of the conversation come January 14, 2019. And by the way, this issue has not been scheduled yet for presentation to the Legislative Budget Committee. That will occur either later in October or November. The other interesting pieces that I would just call to your attention is that the System Council of Government Affairs Relations, Government Relations Officers meets throughout the year, and we have been working on dates and planning for the various events that have been going on similarly in years past. And Higher Education Day is currently slated for that first week of the legislative session, which would be January 17th. I believe that's a Thursday. It always coincides with when the Board of Regents is meeting in Topeka, and so that's likely, that date has been established. I think there's a few things, I'm calling it tentative at this point because I think there's a few extenuating circumstances that might redirect when that event occurs. And then the JCCC Government Affairs Task Force will be meeting in the fall to, again, review the JCCC statements of principle as it relates to some of the legislative positions that the college holds, not only reviewing the current ones, but looking at possible new ones to be introduced to that document. I've also listed a couple of important dates there, some that shouldn't be unfamiliar to you at all, and that is a lot of what we will be able to determine will happen next year. We'll probably learn on late November 6th or November 7th, kind of just the general direction things will likely go. And then the first day of the legislative session is January 14th. So, Mr. Chairman, I would stop there, and if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Thank you. Any questions any trustees have? Trustee Musil?
I'm a little incredulous that nobody at KACCT knows that there was a resolution passed by a county commission with all the fuss that's been going on in Butler County between their state representative and their community college.
Let me respond to that. We just came back from KACCT, Dr. Sopcich and Trustee Ingram and I, and our lobbyist for KACCT in her report during the Q&A, I asked that very question. if she had any knowledge of a move by the Kansas Association of Counties for a statewide mill levy. She denied that she knew anything about that. The representation from Butler County Community College, who were in the room at the time, we readdressed that Saturday morning with the presidents and the trustees, if anybody had heard any movement by the Kansas Association of Counties to raise the mill levy, and no one seemed to know anything about it. And again, the Butler County trustees were in the room. So Greg, I hear your comment. I kind of feel like you do. It seems to me that because this was filed back in June, and I do understand, Mr. Carter, that it's going to be on the October meeting of the Kansas Association of Counties annual meeting. The small group is meeting tomorrow to talk about it, but it's, I think, on the agenda for October.
Well, I just Googled to confirm what I thought, which was that Johnson County creates more than 1/3 of the property tax revenues for the entire state of Kansas. If they put on a 1 mill levy, we would generate $10 million from Johnson County. I would suggest we won't get $10 million back. And I don't know, does anybody know, does Butler County charge an out-of-county tuition rate?
One of the, I don't know that for a fact, we have reason to believe they do not, because we get caught up in Dr. Sopcich. You might know more about that. You would know more about that. But that's one of the items we discussed, is that my recommendation to the group was, because the question was asked, someone said, why wouldn't we be for it? And I spoke up and said, well, representing Johnson County, I know that I personally am against it, and I think our county has consistently been opposed to additional taxation. I used the number 25 to 30%, so you're a little more accurate than I was, of all taxation comes from this county. And I said, wouldn't it be a first step for those of you that have multiple counties in your service area to ask your counties to have a mill levy to support your community college if that area wants to support a community college? And I said, you don't have to answer that because I know the answer. You don't want to do that because you know they'll vote no. So let's have legislation to have a statewide mill levy. That might be easier. So Greg, when you look at their resolution or their material, the 20%, 80% out of county, the other thing we suggested was, why not have a geographical tuition rate chart? So if you're out of county, you pay a certain fee. If you're out of state, you pay a certain fee. But the name of the game for those colleges is really about enrollment, and they want to recruit kids. And I think the WotC Wichita State merger also is playing for a factor. Dr. McLeod.
In response to your question, they do charge a different rate for students outside of Butler County.
What's the difference, if you may?
$11 in direct costs based on what's on their website.
It's a major
credit
policy
hour.
issue for the state, and it's a major economic issue for this county. And I don't want us to get behind the curve, because there are 105 counties in the state, and 104 of them already enjoy the benefits, which I'm happy to share some of the benefits that we have here. It's just a question of how much. And we're going to ask our taxpayers to pay more, and we're not going to get it back. So I think we need to be on top of this, and we need to talk to our county commissioners so that they're aware that this is coming in small groups or large groups. And you probably already have, Jerry.
Yeah, Commissioner Eilert reached out to Dr. Sopcich and I. We met Monday to talk about this. So he's on that committee that meets tomorrow, and so he knows our position. I think we stated about 5 points that we thought the county commissioners need to consider.
Thank you.
Greg, Butler County, a representative down there realized or finally learned that, all of Butler County pays millage, but only 29% of the students at Butler County Community College are from Butler County. And so that just for them justifies why there needs to be a statewide mill levy, because what they do is benefit the entire state by having Butler County, Community College down there. Most of the, I don't know about most, but many of the colleges can make that same case. And so that's what's been going on for years.
Any other questions or comments of Mr. Carter?
I've got one. Dick, this might be the first time that the community colleges are actually working with the KBOR as far as the budget request. That was shared with us. Do you think that increases the odds of something positive happening for the community colleges?
Well, I think certainly last year was a good start on that model. And we were all singing the same song, state universities, community colleges, and the technical colleges. And I certainly hope that that's the case for this year moving forward. Things like this throw wrenches into that mix.
Very good, thanks, Ms. Carter, appreciate it. Committee reports and recommendations. The first is Human Resources. Trustee Cross, you're up on the agenda, but I don't think you met. Do you have a report?
Just briefly, we did not meet in September, but we will meet October the 1st, Mr. Chair. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Learning quality, Trustee Lawson.
Dr. McLeod's staff and did a great job with the minutes, page 1 of the board packet and 2 for the public to review that. I just wanted to highlight a few things in there. We had a great presentation by Dr. Cook, Lenore Cook, and she highlighted the dental hygiene. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up a bit because we have a phenomenal clinic on campus that charges $10 for services, and that also includes x-rays. So a lot of times people don't have that opportunity or may not know that that's available, and so that is something that you can definitely look on our website and find. And as well as just the balance that the trustees in that committee noticed that we are having a lot of applicants, like for the dental hygiene, we have about 100 applicants. The class size is about 30. Pass rate is 100%. Employment is 98%. So it was interesting to see all these programs that we are putting out that have a direct impact in our community with employment. So it really helped to identify the need in our community that these programs are really generating the workforce. As well as balancing the costs for some of these programs too that we had questions about. And continuing. We had a great presentation on transportation by Josh Smith, and he highlighted how we have 15 veterans that are using the CDL grant that's given to them, so that's something that's really exciting that we're able to bring in the veterans to the CDL program. As well as the driver education course, they condensed the program so it would be more marketable and feasible for us in your schedule. Instead of long weeks, it would be more of a 1 or 2 day. So that has seen a growth in our driver's education program. Dr. McLeod talked about our sabbatical template, which was something that our committee has been really interested in. And as you can see from the minutes, more of our concerns are coming. How do we integrate some of those sabbaticals that the public has invested in for the last 6 months for the duration that they've had, to be able to bring that back into our programs on campus, but also for the public viewing. How do we show you guys what the faculty are learning here? Because some of those presentations are just phenomenal. And so that is it. I turn it over to the other trustees in case they had any questions or things to bring up.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments of Trustee Lawson? Thank you, appreciate it. Management, Trustee Lindstrom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Management Committee met at 8 a.m. on Wednesday, September 5th, here in the boardroom. The information related to the Management Committee meeting begins on page 4 and runs through page 26 of the board packet. The Management Committee received several presentations from staff. Dr. Jay Antle, Executive Director of Center of Sustainability, provided highlights on the college's sustainability efforts. The college continues to make progress toward its goal of reducing energy here on the campus consumption to rely on more renewable sources. Electricity has dropped 25%. Electricity use has dropped 25% at the college since 2008. And with plans for additional solar installations on rooftops as well as the 2 new buildings, more than 5% of the college's campus energy consumption will be from solar by the end of the fiscal year. Rachel Lears, Associate Vice President for Financial Services and Chief Financial Officer, updated the Management Committee on year-end audit for fiscal year 2018, as well as the initial planning for next year's fiscal year 2020, already here, budget process. Janelle Vogler, Interim Associate Vice President for Business Services, presented the single source report as well as a summary of awarded bids between $50,000 and $150,000, and that information begins on page 5 of the board packet. Rex Hayes, Associate Vice President of Campus Services and Financial Planning, gave a monthly update on the campus infrastructure projects, and this report is on page 23 of the board packet. He reviewed the report on financial status of facilities in the master plan projects That report is in your packet on page 24. The Management Committee has 7 recommendations to present this evening. The first 5 recommendations are based on RFPs and bids. The first of those is a recommendation for a request for proposal for the annual contract for housekeeping services. It is a renewal number 2 of 4 options, and it is the recommendation of the Management Committee that the Board of Trustees accept the recommendation of the college administration to approve the renewal of the annual contract for housekeeping services with ABM On-Site Services in an amount of $720,328.12 plus an additional $30,000 for services that may be requested on an as-needed basis for a total expenditure not to exceed $750,318.12, and I will make that motion.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? I think on the original bid, you said 328. I think you meant 318.
318, yes, I'm sorry.
Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The second of these recommendation is the annual contract for prime vendor for food and food supplies, and this is a renewal number 2 of 4 annual options. And it is the recommendation of the Management Committee that the Board of Trustees accept the recommendation of college administration to approve the renewal of the annual contract for prime vendor for food and food supplies with Cisco Food Services of Kansas City, Inc., at an annual expenditure not to exceed $750,000, and I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, the third recommendation is the annual contract for athletic apparel, gear, and equipment. This is the second of 4 annual options, and it is the recommendation of the Management Committee that the Board of Trustees accept the recommendation of the college administration to approve the renewal of the annual contract for athletic apparel, gear, and equipment with BSN Sports at a total expenditure not to exceed $200,000, and I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The fourth is the annual contract for the college's learning management system. This is renewal number 1 of 4 annual options, and it is the recommendation of the Management Committee that the Board of Trustees accept the recommendation of college administration to approve the renewal of the annual contract for learning management system with Infrastructure Incorporated in the amount of $176,453.40, and I will make that motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The fifth and final of the RFPs is a recommendation for a new contract for governmental affairs liaison services. The contract has 4 one-year renewal options, and it is the recommendation of the Management Committee that the Board of Trustees accept the recommendation of college administration to approve the proposal from the Carter Group Incorporated to establish an annual contract for governmental affairs liaison services in the amount of $58,750 plus expenses to the college travel policies, and I'll make that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, the evening's final recommendations will establish guaranteed maximum prices, or GMPs, for 2 projects relative to the facilities master plan. Projects relative to the facilities master plan are 1, the outdoor site work and athletic improvements, and renovations to the student center. As presented, these guaranteed maximum prices fall within the project budgets established earlier in 2018. As a reminder, the outdoor site work will not include reconfiguring the college's northeast entrance off College Boulevard. That work was estimated to cost $420,000. Also, based on feedback provided at the most recent Board of Trustees workshop, the monument sign at College and Quivira has been eliminated from the project scope. This decision provided an opportunity for staff to reconsider some items which had previously amended and/or removed due to cost. In doing so, staff considered the items that would have the greatest impact related to total cost of ownership, lifespan of materials, maintenance cost, as well as programmatic impact. As recommended, the GMP will now include the overhead trellis on the athletic building, concrete rather than asphalt in the Student Center Circular Drive, and returning to an all-glass partition wall separating the presentation space from the corridor at the north entrance to the Student Center. Based on work accomplished in multiple discussions, J.E. Dunn Construction Company is able to establish GMPs for the Student Center projects and for outdoor site work and athletics, and therefore it is the recommendation of the Management Committee that the Board of Trustees accept the recommendation of College Administration to approve the GMP proposal from J.E. Dunn Construction Company for construction manager at-risk services for the renovations and addition to the Student Center building in the amount of $6,399,090. $6,996.091, and I'll make that motion. Is that number clear enough?
The number is $6,996,091.
$91, yes. It's hard to read, my printer is light on ink.
We have that first motion. Is there a second? Any discussion, Trustee Musil?
Oh, Dr. Musil, that'd be great. Dr. Larson, I don't remember this if I asked this at the Management Committee. We took some things out of the scope, which left some money left in the budget, and so we've replaced some things. Did the reprogramming utilize all of the dollars that we had saved, or most of them?
Most of them, not quite. When we added back in the trellis, the concrete circular drive, and the all-glass partitions, that came to $161,000. So there still is there's a net difference. We're just finishing up the bidding process, so there may be an opportunity to add something else back in.
I was not suggesting we add something back in. I was trying to see if we actually saved something from the monument sign, which all of us wanted, but realized priority was probably not the right place to spend it. This is a great opportunity to micromanage as a board member, and there are elements of the bid that I would probably spend somewhere else. I'm not going to oppose it because of that. This has been it's a very detailed project, particularly because there's renovation involved and not just new construction. And so I will support the motion.
To follow up on Trustee Musil's point, though, if there's a little bit of gap yet, would that make the $6,996.91 less? Or are we guaranteeing?
It would mean that there could be buyout savings at the end that would be returned to the college.
So the total payment could be less than that number. The GMP is for our benefit, not for the contractor's benefit.
That's correct.
And then the other follow-up I have, we say that following our activity with this, construction will begin in September. The preparation work would begin in September with construction beginning in October. What's the estimated time of completion again for this project?
For these projects, I believe September of next year, yes.
Okay. Motion and a second. Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, I also want to support the comments made by Trustee Musil as well. We had a pretty lengthy discussion about this at the Management Committee, but I will be supporting, as I made the motion, administration's.
I would like to review, once again, for the public's sake, we go through a lot of these motions quite quickly, and Trustee Lindstrom has brought up a good point that this college operates a lot by committee work. And the management committee has extensive meetings about the details of these issues. And as a full board, we expect that each committee vets those issues thoroughly, and when they come to the board for a recommendation, it's been thoroughly vetted. So in the public, it may sound like they're spending an awful lot of money real fast. And we are, but it's been vetted very carefully and detailed by staff and committee. So I thank you for reminding us about that, Trustee Lindstrom. We have a motion on the floor. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And I believe you have another recommendation.
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is the recommendation of the Management Committee that the Board of Trustees accept the recommendation of college administration to approve the GMP proposal from J.E. Dunn Construction Company for the construction manager at-risk services for the athletic fields and site work in the amount of $11,262,172, and I will make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? And again, I would ask, I suspect that's going to begin rather soon, and will that be finished by the fall of
Correct.
2019?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask that Trustee Musel and Trustee Snyder, if they have anything else to add for the Management Committee?
You've done a fine job.
No, thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
You've done a fine job. Outstanding.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my report.
Dr. Sopcich.
And thank you for your support on these very important projects. There's some work being done on the east side of campus in front of Quivira. Many of you have noticed that. Rex, I want to put you on the spot here. Can you please explain to us what's going on out there?
Yeah, it's a retention basin, and it's a storm water management program that retains surface runoff water and then improves it before it goes into the Overland Park storm water system. And the reason, it's required by Overland Park, and one of the reasons is when we built the Fine Arts and Design Studio building, we built that on green space, all right? So it took away the ability for the ground to absorb that water. So we had to make up for that, and that's part of the reason for the retention basin.
So that will be seeded or sodded?
It'll be plants in there, and when I say it improves the water before it goes into the stormwater system, it does it through sedimentation, filtration, and then solar disinfection. So, yeah, there'll be a lot of plants.
See Dr. Antle back there, just dying to say something. Jay, is there anything that you can elaborate on with regards to this basin?
Not really. Yeah, there'll be native plants.
It's your last chance.
I would say that I sometimes have been critical that the community doesn't pay attention to what's going on at the college, but I've had several people ask me what we're building there. And I gave the very elaborate answer of, I don't know. And now I do. So thank you very much for explaining that. I didn't think it was in our facilities master plan. Thanks, Dr. Larson, Rex, staff, everybody on that project. It's a lot of detail, and as Trustee Musel has said, when we get into a renovation, things don't always go as planned rather than new construction. So we know that there will be challenging days ahead. President's recommendations for action. Treasurer's report, Trustee Ingram, I guess you're giving it.
I am going to do that. The board packet contains the treasurer's report for the month ended July 31st, 2018. Some items of note include page 1 of the treasurer's report is the general post-secondary technical education fund summary. July was the first month of the college's 2018-2019 fiscal year. State grant payments for the fall semester of $10.6 million were received during August and will be reflected in next month's report. This amount is approximately $300,000 higher than last fall due to partial restoration of the 4% state funding cut, which was enacted back in fiscal 2017. Specifically, the college expects that approximately $600,000 of the $860,000 cut from its annual funding will be restored for the full fiscal 2018-2019 year. The college's unencumbered cash balance as of July 31st, 2018, in all funds was $109 million, which is approximately $12 million higher than at the same time last year. And finally, expenditures in the primary operating funds are within approved budgetary limits. I do have a recommendation, and it is the recommendation of the college administration that the Board of Trustees approve the treasurer's report for the month ended July 31st, 2018, subject to audit, and I will make that motion.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I just want to say thank you to Trustee Ingram again and everyone. Thank you, Trustee Ingram, for presenting that.
Well, you're welcome.
Okay. Next item is facilities naming recommendation. Trustee Ingram.
Yes. As trustee liaison to the Johnson County Community College Foundation and college's Facilities Naming Committee, I have the pleasure of reporting on a naming opportunity that was recently considered in honor of a $2 million financial contribution from Johnson County Community College Foundation board member Hugh L. Libby. Mr. Libby is a lifelong resident of the Kansas City area, living in Johnson County for more than 50 years. But as many of you know, it wasn't until a few years ago that he was introduced to the college by his longtime friend, Jerry Cook. Hugh quickly became a staunch supporter of the college and its mission, particularly its dedication to career and technical programs. In 2017, Hugh became the first donor to support the facilities master plan initiatives, with particular appreciation for its focus on the industrial arts. Hugh Libby is an Eagle Scout and a 1942 graduate of Central High School in Kansas City, Missouri. Hugh grew up in a modest home, spending much of his youth working in his father's radiator shop. At age 17, he joined the United States Navy to fight in World War II in the Pacific Theater. After the Navy, Hugh returned to Kansas City. He developed multiple companies in the welding and painting industries. The last one was the Libby Corporation, which became the largest manufacturer of military generators in the world. His company provided the ground power starter unit for every U.S. plane used in Vietnam. For 12 years, Hugh served on the board of Cleveland-based Lincoln Electric, a worldwide designer and manufacturer of welding products and systems. He served as their board president in 1995. Hugh has also held board seats on 4 different banks. Philanthropically, Hugh is a major benefactor to Mayo Clinic, the University of Kansas Hospital's Alzheimer's Unit, and Boy Scouts of America's Heart of America Council. He is a member of the Boy Scouts Founders Circle, and earlier this summer was inducted as an honorary chieftain with the tribe of Miccosay. The Facilities Naming Committee convened in July to consider this nomination of a named facility. The committee reviewed the proposal and was satisfied with the background check performed on the donor and his related companies. On behalf of the Facilities Naming Committee, I recommend to the Board of Trustees that the new Career and Technology Center be named Hugh Libby Career and Technical Education Center, and I will make that motion.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I don't think we should just blow by this. This is an incredible gift from an incredible human being that has helped build Johnson County. So I think it's very appropriate that Hugh be honored this way. And I thank Jerry for getting him involved in the college and showing him what we can do so that he can help support us.
We earlier recognized, thank you very much. We earlier recognized Superintendent Todd White for his compassion to students. Hugh Libby has always been very compassionate about starting your business from nothing, which he did. And while he worked for his father in the radiator shop that prohibited him from participating in extracurricular activities in high school because he had to work on Saturday, he has a real passion for helping young people. I've seen him gift to complete strangers that had a plan or an idea to do something. Recently, we were on campus, and Dr. Sopcich, thank you for taking him through our Veterans Department, which was recognized earlier by Mr. Cochran as a veteran. And kudos to all of our staff and students. I happened to be with that day, and there were some young veterans working in the office. And when they found out that Mr. Libby was a veteran of World War II, they almost clicked their heels and came to attention and said, "Thank you for your service." And it really impressed me that one veteran to another. And then I began to realize that maybe they don't have an opportunity to relate to World War II veterans very often. So I think the legacy that we can share with all of our students, particularly in career and tech ed, but also in gen ed, will be motivational for them. I used the phrase earlier, to become the person you were meant to become, but he was really committed to, Mr. Libby is really committed to helping people become what they are yet to become. So thank you for the recommendation, and appreciate your comments. Trustee Lindstrom.
I also want to reiterate the comments that were made and thank staff, thank the foundation and those that were involved in supporting this. But I want to commend those people. But I think it's important to reiterate that the fact that your introduction and your leadership in this regard, it's as Trustee Musel said, it's a significant gift, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate your leadership. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. We're here, though, to consider this naming, but thank you. I appreciate that.
And he just celebrated what birthday?
Yeah, he just turned 93 on August 25th. And when he goes for his checkups and annual visits, they don't believe he's 93. And when you see him, you probably wouldn't. In fact, one of the veterans, I think someone mentioned that he was just going to celebrate. I think he did. He was going to celebrate his 93rd birthday, and he said, "Excuse me?" He said, "You're 93? My father is 91, and he can't maneuver like you do. Are you sure you're right on your age?" So,
That's amazing.
anyway, he's blessed right now to be healthy. Any other discussions or questions? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Dr. Sopcich.
Dr. Cook, I would like to recognize Kate Allen for her work with Mr. Libby. Kate did a great job spending time with him and working with him, and I believe strongly this wouldn't have happened without your efforts. So thank you very much.
Yep. Thanks, Kate. Really appreciate it. Monthly report to the board, Dr. Sopcich.
Thank you, Dr. Cook. You always receive the monthly report to the board. 40 pages of incredible information with regards to activities here on campus, as well as accomplishments and achievements of our faculty and staff and students. So please take the time to review that. I have 7 items I'm going to cover tonight. If you can tell me which Major League great wore number 7, I promise not to speak at the next meeting, and we will have a lightning round. So we'll see if we can come up with that name at the end of this. First of all, enrollment. Census has occurred, and John, please correct me here. 18,373 students have enrolled in 148,327 credit hours. When we look at last fall, we're down in head count 1.4%, or 265 students, and credit hours down 2.6%. Those negative numbers can be somewhat alarming, but if you look across the country and across the state of Kansas, what's happening with community college enrollment, we're doing a pretty good job of hanging in there. We do have positive growth among minority students. We've had 57 more students sign up. Metro rate brought us 75 students from the other side of the state line. Our high school students are up 68, so we have very positive numbers in all those areas. We are taking a hit with students above the 25 years of age. And we know this. We've shared this with you before. This is pretty much directly related to the economy. Employment is doing very well, and so people aren't in the need of retraining or looking for other career options. So we're doing a fine job, I believe, with enrollment. I want to share with you an article that came out. This regards concurrent education. And this was an article written by Mr. John Richard Strock out of Emporia. The article was entitled "The High School Dual Credit Scam." So you can obviously see the intent of his writing. This was sent to every newspaper in the state. This was forwarded to us by the Kansas Board of Regents, and I'll share with you a paragraph in there, in his write-up. I want to make it clear that there are some excellent high school teachers who offer a rigorous course that may very well deserve college credit, and there are some institutions, such as Johnson County Community College, that rigorously oversee the credentials and professional development of the high school teachers for which they accept course credit, but far more do not. I'd like to recognize Dr. McLeod. Dr. Maupin, Dr. Weber, Denise Griffey, all of those, as well as those faculty who are constructively working with us to build strong relationships with the school districts and to make our concurrent the best that we can make them. So thank you very much for that. Our debate team had a tremendous start to their season at Wichita State University. The team of Josh Moncure and Louis Ferris finished second in the varsity division after losing in the final round on a 2-1 decision to a talented UMKC team. Josh Moncure was recognized as the top overall speaker at the tournament. The team advanced to the elimination rounds after accumulating a 4-2 preliminary round record. In the prelims, they defeated teams from the University of Kansas, Emporia State, UMKC, and the University of Oklahoma. In the octafinals, which is the round of 16, they defeated Missouri State University on a 3-0 decision. They advanced to the finals with a 3-0 win in the quarterfinals over Baylor University and a 3-0 win in semifinals over a team from UMKC. Well, congratulations to our debaters and also to head coach Justin Stanley and assistant coach Dan Stout for their work with our students and a great start of the season. You know, if we're talking about highlights, it would not be a report without something about our sustainability program. The University of Kansas and Johnson County Community College collectively hosted their second ASH, and ASH stands for the Association for the Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Education, and / Center for Sustainability Across the Curriculum workshop on August 8th through 10th. We often hear about the contributions that our sustainability program makes to us with regards to utilities consumption and things that happen around campus, but oftentimes overlooked is the remarkable role that it has played in attempting and succeeding in incorporating sustainability into the curriculum here. That's a big part of this program and one of the things that makes it so special. This conference is designed to help faculty from all disciplines make connections to sustainability within their curriculum. This 2-day workshop guided participants through group work, discussion, and learning lab exercises. Participants from 7 institutions and 4 states took part in this event. This is one of only 13 ASH-sanctioned Centers for Sustainability across the curriculum workshops held in the United States in the 2018-19 academic year. Christy Howell from our program and Kim Kreiner, who used to be here as well in sustainability, took part in this. We can all be very proud for the, I guess you could say, the accolades that our sustainability brings to this college. So thank you very much. Today we hosted Heidi Manley. Heidi is the Deputy Director of the Office of Global Educational Programs at the Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs and the Acting Branch Chief of U.S. Study Abroad at the United States Department, at the U.S. Department of State. Her business card is rather lengthy, to say the least. She visited us because of the large number, and we often rank among the highest, if not the #1 community college in the country, of Gilman Scholarship recipients. These are awarded to our study abroad students. A Gilman Scholarship is sponsored through the State Department. It provides foreign study opportunities for students with limited financial means. We have to thank, there are so many people here who are involved in that. Would particularly like to point out Tom Patterson and Jeanette Jasperson for their incredible work with Gilman Scholarships. We talked earlier about Todd White and what Blue Valley is doing here. I have to say again that that meeting is one of the highlights of the semester. We meet so often with so many different school districts or other institutions, and this bodes well for the future with our relationship and how we can benefit students. Also would like to say that we're working on some very exciting opportunities with the state and the Board of Regents. University of Kansas has been very helpful for policy changes that can benefit our students. And so I'd like to recognize Dr. Weber, Dr. McLeod, who've taken the reins of that and are doing a great job at the state level. We had our Stoll Park meeting last night, and those are tough meetings. People are very, very passionate about things that can happen in their neighborhood. I would like to recognize Barbara Larson and Chief Greg Russell and all those on the campus who were associated with that effort for their roles in our meeting with the residents of the Stoll Park community. You know, we will do whatever we can here to create the safest environment possible for our campus community. I was so proud of Dr. Larson and Chief Russell for being on the front lines last night, and would like to thank them for how they represented us, Tuesday evening. So thank you very much. it was a fantastic meeting, and again, we will continue to pursue whatever we can to protect the safety of our students and those who work here on this campus. Thank you. That wraps up the report.
Thank you, and I'd like to thank the trustees that were there to listen and gain that perception of the passion of the residents of Stoll Park. This issue goes back several years, and a lot of water has gone over the dam. Trustee Snyder.
Would you prefer me to make comments now, or I can save them till the end,
Whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay. Since on Stoll Park, I was going to make comments at the end, but and I will echo Barbara. You did a great job, and Chief Russell. We had, I think, 3 or 4 concerned citizens attend the Parks meeting last night that I was at. Very similar theme. I guess through this process, I'm both frustrated and disheartened at the lack of trust that the neighbors have in the college, and I don't know what facilitated that. I mean, clearly there was some issues 10 or 15 years ago, whenever that happened, but you know, we had an employee or two that also expressed some distrust of the college. That was, again, disheartening, and you hate to see that. I don't know if we can ever create an environment where that doesn't happen, but certainly was noticed by me, and I'm sure others there as well. I will say that there were a couple members at our board meeting last night, and I heard a couple of the comments at the meeting Tuesday night here that, you know, a lot of people, if this were to move forward, they want some declaration from this board, and that we wouldn't try to do more in the future. I would be, at the appropriate time, more than happy to try to affirm that in some fashion, whatever those options are. And then, and Greg could speak to most of this, but in general, there's a lot of concerns that were raised that, while they feel very passionate about it, are concerns that are raised for any development project in the county. Just this week, city councils and planning commissions heard about, I can name 3 distinct projects where they were concerned about property values, concerned about traffic, concerned about child safety and other things. So it's, I don't know if there's a strategy that we can get beyond some of that and talk about the core issue. And I don't need responses necessarily, just airing that.
Trustee Wilson.
I would just add, I think the strength of Johnson County is passionate neighbors. And I heard it for 8 years on city council, and it's not always fun. And we don't hear as much of it here, but that was an example of passionate neighbors surrounding the park. And the fact that I think we all know what was intended and what was only intended by the master facilities plan. And we've just got to reinforce that message over and over again. This is nothing more than, and will never be nothing more under this plan than, an emergency exit to be used only in catastrophic emergencies. But there's a history there that creates concern. And Tuesday night was the start of the process. There's another listening session on October 3rd.
Wednesday, October 3rd.
And then we'll, I think both with the park board and the City of Overland Park, which is already involved through its police department, I think we'll get through this, but it's going to be a process.
Dr. Larson, can you just kind of explain what we're talking about here as far as the path?
Sure. As part of the facilities master plan, in terms of looking at security, one recommendation was that we work with Stoll Park about creating a path that would connect to Stoll Park, and then a gravel path within Stoll Park that would connect to the existing walking path, a 10-foot walking path that then goes to the north parking lot. Again, in a catastrophic, unimaginable circumstance, law enforcement officers would assist people to exit out of the campus, whether it's one vehicle or multiple. And as we, go ahead.
Or to get emergency vehicles onto the campus.
Or to get emergency vehicles onto campus.
Right.
Yes, that's what is envisioned.
And I just have to say, we respect the passion, but, you know, we're pretty passionate here about this. Safety is a big deal on campus, and I don't think that our passion should be drowned out for what we stand up for in this regard.
I'm certainly not suggesting that, but we can and are doing a better job of explaining what it is, when it might be used, and how it might be used, and what it is not going to be. And I generally, that kind of public input leads to a better project and a better understanding, and we're going to get there.
Mr. Chairman, if I could interrupt, I meant to say earlier also. So anyone that doesn't know, I also am a commissioner for the Johnson County Parks and Recreation District. And I mentioned this last night at our meeting there. I've talked to both Tanya and then the general counsel for the Parks District, former trustee Fred Logan, and was advised, you know, the dilemma, how do I address this serving on both boards? And it was suggested that I recuse myself from activity on the Parks District side and represent the college, being that this is an elected position versus an appointed position there. So as this proceeds on the Park District side, I will not be participating in those discussions. Just wanted to get that on the record.
I am at risk repeating what was said last night, but one thing that caught my attention, and I would like for us to look into the detail, when the one person said that 1,500 new apartments are going to be built down the street of 119th Street. So my point is that I think as a college, we should be aware of that type of development in apartments in residences that will impact the traffic in the neighborhood. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Anyway, whether it's valid or not or true, I'm sure it's accurate if he was reporting it. Any questions of Dr. Sobczak? I don't believe we have any old business. I don't believe we have any new business. And so reports from board liaisons, Faculty Association, Dr. Harvey.
Hello. Well, I have a few items I wanted to talk about. The first is, hang on, let me see if I can push this in. Does it go in? There. Okay, great. The first one is I wanted to mention a couple of things about Canvas, because I know in the management meeting this month, it was on the consent agenda, I think. There was just an annual, we have a contract with them, but, so I did want to just give a little update. So our faculty have been using this for a little bit now, and I would say that I've been using Canvas, I think it's been a year. It's very user-friendly. It works really well with technology, if anyone's interested. It works well with the iPhones. They have apps for instructors and apps for students. My students, I haven't heard any complaints at all since I started using it from students. They can find things, they understand where they're supposed to go. It seems to work. One extra nice feature, I can take my iPad to class and take attendance if I want to on it. And that's particularly important at the beginning of the semester because we have to keep track of have they actually come to class, and so that sort of thing. We're supposed to keep records. I give quizzes most days, so I don't personally have to take attendance every day because that's attendance. But it works with all this different technology and features. So I think it's a really great learning management system. I haven't heard much in the way of complaints from faculty, mostly very positive things. So I just wanted to share that because I did get that question posed to me, and I thought, yeah, it's, we don't want to just complain when things aren't working. I think it is a really step up for us from what we had before. There were a lot of problems with what we had before, so this has been working really well. And that's always great, especially when you're using technology a lot for hybrids, online classes, or even your face-to-face classes. I put a lot of material in mine too. The other thing I wanted to talk a little bit about is College Now. I just wanted to give a shout out to some of our high school faculty partners that serve as instructors. I know some of them through my KNEA relationships that work as College Now instructors. And this has been a rough transition the last few years because, HLC laid out in recent years some very specific guidelines for credentials for faculty. And part of that was sort of a crackdown on some of the for-profits. And it's been a little bit tricky to navigate, especially for faculty that are in areas that maybe didn't exist, there weren't credentials for when they started and developed those programs, or perhaps they have experience from the real world, that their career professionally has given them significant credentials, and it's not in the same form as we might normally recognize. So it's been a tricky thing for faculty on campus as well as our partners. And I just want to say that, because of HLC, the faculty at high schools that are teaching College Now for us are now required to have the same credentials that you would require, the same minimum credentials required for faculty that teach on campus. And that's been a large hurdle for some because if they have to pick up a couple classes, a lot of those aren't offered for people that are working full-time. Those are meant to be picked up while you're a full-time graduate student. So it's been a challenge, and our partners have really risen to that, and we have a lot of really highly qualified high school teachers that have the credentials to do this. So I just wanted to say, I hear from a lot of them working through KNEA, and I really appreciate their commitment to their students and to offering this as a service to the community and to the students in their high schools, that they would go through all the hoops that they need to be able to do this, because I can definitely guarantee they're not doing it for the money. So we'll just leave it at that, but I know that's a fact. But they do this as a service to students because they care. Another thing I just want to mention is I got to go to my first foundation board meeting on behalf of the Faculty Association, and I had a great experience. I was very impressed with the commitment, the quality of questions that were asked, the level of engagement by the board members in the foundation. It's a very impressive group of community leaders, and it was really a pleasure to be included in the conversation and to meet them and to see them working. So that was a really great experience, and I really appreciate what the foundation does for our college and our students and our programs. So I just wanted to say that too. Finally, of course, I have to mention something about negotiations, because where would I be if I didn't say something? Yeah, I do. So we may have reached a tentative, this is very solid language here, may have reached a tentative agreement pending your approval tonight. I believe you'll be hearing and discussing the terms of that later in your executive session. There are, of course, many contributing factors that led us to this place of impasse that we've been at. Some of those were not noticed, but they're non-monetary. They contribute in indirect ways to sort of general lowering of morale, and that's really, in some ways, how we got here. We're seeing frustration expressed through this last year of, with regards to communication and being included in decisions while they're being made and not just after the fact. And all of those things contribute to morale, and all of those little things add up to getting us to a place that contributes to us of being an impasse. I do want to speak to one issue. In recent months, most employees at this institution saw a 3% salary adjustment. And of course, the bargaining unit was an impasse, so I understand that that's why we have been paid based on our last contract until we have a new contract. There were, however, 16 AMS positions that realized salary adjustments well beyond the 3%, and that totaled about $85,000 additional beyond the 3%. And you might say, well, so what? So we gave raises to this other group of people. Nothing to do with you. Completely different rationale. But the timing and the lack of transparency around that decision was in poor taste. And it was a bit of a gut punch to the faculty who were at impasse, and this was happening while we were at impasse over salary. So, and also particularly because it wasn't informed by a salary study, but other circumstances. So one of my team members, I have to say, really wanted an apology for the timing of the decision as part of our terms. But we decided that that was probably a non-starter. However, we gave him an apology. This has been a long process. We're all very, of course, exhausted, and it's been it's been long. But I do wanted to thank and acknowledge my amazing team of faculty. I couldn't ask for more intelligent, smart, creative problem solvers than the people who were putting together amazing proposals, very creative ones to try to solve problems, even knowing that most of the time we would get the word no. So I do want to thank them, and we'll see, hopefully we will be able to move forward beyond our current impasse. And I want to thank you for your time tonight. That's the end of my report.
Thanks, Dr. Harvey. Any questions?
Well, I think on the College Now part, I'll speak to that. I'll utilize my filter and not get into the negotiations comments as much until we figure out our executive session. But on College Now, I appreciate what you said about the high school partners, but I also understand KU Edwards, University of Kansas, that I always speak of highly, really helped find ways for those high school teachers to meet their credentials. Because you're right, the normal timing of those classes was not good for them. So it was really a team effort from the high school teachers and our faculty and then KU's faculty. And I think we ought to acknowledge that. Whether the credentialing was, it wasn't directed, I don't think, at the high school teachers that we have in our county. As you pointed out, it was directed at some others. But everybody, rolled up their sleeves and got it done. So it was a great effort and great example of partnership.
It's a lot to expect. It really is a lot to expect a high school teacher if they've gone a traditional route, which would have been doing secondary ed, so they have an education degree and then they have an area of specialty. It's a lot to expect that if they were to go and get a master's, that it wouldn't be in just, in education. That would be the typical route, but to expect it in, 18 graduate credit hours in the subject matter, it's fairly, it's a lot, especially in certain areas. And I'm a little bit impacted because of the way I see science, because science graduate school really very much is usually a full-time endeavor. And so but yeah, you're right. That's really been a key thing, is finding institutions that will offer courses that teachers can take in the summer or in the evening or in a way that they can still teach full-time. It was just an unexpected hardship for them, I think. And it impacted everybody, and I think we did have a lot of teachers already that had those credentials. School districts do have a lot of teachers that have much higher credentials than you might think, but the traditional route would not have been to that level.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Thanks, Dr. Harvey, appreciate it. Research Triangle, Trustee Lundstrom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to cut my report a little bit short here. The Johnson County Education Research Triangle Authority last met on Monday, May 7th at 7:30 at KU Edwards campus. The next meeting of this organization, JCERT, is November 7th, 2018 at 7:30 a.m. at the Kansas State Olathe campus, which is at 22201 West Innovation Drive in Olathe. The meetings are open to the public, and we encourage people to come if they want to know a little bit more about what goes on with JCERT. Sales tax revenues for the month of August were $1,636,685.66, a 4.19% increase over the same time last year. And for more information, people can go to www.jocotriangle.com and follow JCERT on Facebook and Twitter. And lastly, we have a new member of the JCERT Authority. The governor replaced Senator Julia Lynn with State Representative Jan Kessinger. So he is now a member of JCERT. Yeah.
Okay, good.
That concludes my report.
Good. Thank you. Kansas Association of Community College Trustees, Trustee Ingram.
The KACCT quarterly meeting was held this past weekend at Highland Community College. The Friday session included presentations by Allie Devine on legislative strategy and Senator Ed Berger on engaging legislators. Both presenters emphasized the importance of the November elections in determining how Kansas will move forward. Saturday morning, the trustee meeting was held in the absence of Linda Funn, who is our director for medical reasons, and also our treasurer, David Marshall, was unable to attend. So the meeting was little different as a result of both of those people not being present. President Michelle Hamm addressed a question about a policy on the reserve funds in the budget. The suggestion of adopting a reserve policy was brought up at the June quarterly meeting by our trustee, Greg Musel, and Michelle told the group the executive committee would address this at the December meeting, so it is continuing to be a source of conversation. The ACCT report was given by Don Ash from Kansas City, Kansas, who will be relinquishing his state coordinator position. Both he and Trustee Cook encouraged members to become involved. They both said that Kansas has always had a presence in the ACCT and should remain involved and active. Trustee Ash also suggested the best way for trustees to become involved is through participation on one of the 5 national committees. Ash reviewed several legislative bills with much discussion on the Pell Grant program. Marketing of the KACCT was also discussed, with several pieces being passed around. There is a marketing budget for marketing Kansas community colleges, and several suggestions were made regarding that. It was also recommended that each college market community colleges on their individual websites as an attainable goal for the present until plans are in place through the organization. Dr. Cook has already spoken to the brief discussion of the state mill levy, so I won't repeat that. Michelle did lead a discussion on hosting the NLS reception for legislators, as we do in December this coming February, and it was voted that we will again hold that reception. Michelle also announced, and this will affect all of us, that the PTK luncheon in Topeka will be moved to March in 2019. It usually followed the Washington, D.C. meeting, so it is being postponed 1 month. Following the Friday presentation on engaging legislators by Senator Berger, the executive committee recommended to the group that we focus on spotlighting our students and their stories. The next quarterly meeting will be in December at Independence Community College, and that concludes my report.
Thanks. Any questions of Trustee Ingram? I would like to say that both Trustees Lawson and Ingram have indicated interest to serve on a national committee at ACCT, and so hopefully we'll be hearing word on that soon, and participation in October at the annual Congress. We do hope somebody will step forward statewide for the state director in Kansas, and we have had a lot of people involved with ACCT through KACCT, so we look forward to that new representation. Trustee Musil.
I just want to thank you for continuing. I asked them, I don't go to very many of these meetings. It was at Kansas City, Kansas Community College, so I went in June. And the reason I asked about the reserve policy was not because we didn't have a reserve, or not because we didn't have a big enough reserve, but because I thought we had a reserve that was far bigger than what is justified for this association. And since we continue to pay based on a per-student basis, that a reasonable reserve would allow us maybe to even skip a year of KACCT dues and still have a sufficient amount for reserves. So I think we pay about $65,000 a year. It wouldn't be insignificant if we could save that for 1 year.
Are you looking for a second?
Good.
And that was appreciated, and everyone did understand that, but I just, without Linda being there and, you know, just the conversations that we couldn't have with the treasurer missing as well.
Well, I'm not asking for immediate action. I appreciate
No.
the fact that you're continuing to review that.
And we will.
Dr. Sopcich.
So we'll be meeting in Independence.
Yes.
Do you know if their football coach will be speaking to the group?
They did discuss.
Did they?
Yes, Last Chance University, I believe.
Last chance you.
Last Chance.
Yeah, that was also a topic of discussion at the KACCT. If you don't go to those meetings and talk about money and athletics, it hasn't been a good meeting. Foundation, Trustee Ingram.
You bet. On August 23rd, more than 30 board members attended the Foundation's first social of the year in the BNSF Training Center. Scott Schaefer and his team were on hand to give tours of their state-of-the-art facility, including their train simulators. The Foundation would like to publicly thank BNSF for their support and partnership. On September the 5th, the Foundation held its annual scholarship celebration luncheon in the Rainier Center to recognize this year's Foundation Scholarship winners. Over 200 people attended and wonderful student stories were shared. Thank you to the trustees and cabinet members who were able to join us for the luncheon, especially Trustee Chair Cook for helping lead the event. The Foundation Board of Directors met on September the 12th and the foundation's fiscal year 2018 financial report was reviewed. Total revenues were more than $14 million, due in large part to the Sunderland Foundation gift. The foundation's endowment and total assets are at their strongest position in history. The full financial report will be presented at the October Management Committee meeting. The foundation will hold 2 events in October. The Barron Mini Cooper Challenge will be held on our campus on Sunday, October the 7th, as a fundraiser for automotive technology scholarships. The following weekend, on Sunday, October 14th, is our Lace Up for Learning 5K to support student scholarships. And finally, the fundraising for Some Enchanted Evening continues to break records with more than $700,000 raised to date. The gala will be held November 10th, 2018 at the Overland Park Convention Center. Individual tickets are now available, including a new discount for college employees to encourage attendance at this 50th anniversary kickoff event. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. I think I have a standing time of 2 hours and 17 minutes on that Cooper Mini Challenge on that course. But I did do that last year. It's kind of a lot of fun if you have courage to,
I'm registered.
for speed, go do that. Thanks, Trustee Ingram. Consent agenda is a time where we have a number of routine items on the agenda. If any trustee has an item they'd like to pull from the agenda, I would entertain that motion now. Any items that would be pulled from the consent agenda? If not, I would entertain a motion for approval. Trustee Lindstrom approves. Is there a second?
Second.
Ingram, seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Before we go into executive session, and I've forgotten to do this, and everybody's gone to bed sometimes by the time we get out of executive session, but Trustee Snyder, any closing comments for tonight's meeting before we adjourn into executive session?
Just when you take us into executive session, allow extra time. Add whatever you and Tanya agreed, maybe add 5 or 10 minutes.
I think we've done that tonight. Yeah, thank you. Trustee Lawson?
I just wanted to piggyback off of what David Lindstrom, Trustee Lindstrom mentioned in his management report about solar energy. When we were taking a tour, we noticed a lot of the solar panels coming through our electrician department and program, and I think we really have a niche for sustainability, as our president report mentioned as well. So it'd be really nice to advance that solar energy and develop, I think Dr. Antle mentioned to me before, a model microgrid. I think that would be exciting. So yeah, something like that.
Thank you. Trustee Musil.
I'd just like to thank Dr. Sopcich for starting the focus on our K-12 partners. I'm sympathetic to Blue Valley because my daughters graduated from Blue Valley Northwest and have the most experience in that district. And for all the rhetoric you hear today about K-12 education and how it is not doing appropriate things for our children, either academically or emotionally or morally or whatever, I would encourage anybody that says that to go visit a high school or a middle school or a grade school in Johnson County and be proven wrong. And my personal example, obviously, because I am on crutches, but I don't think I ever opened a door in 8 years of my 2 daughters going to Blue Valley Northwest High School. If there was a student in the vicinity, they ran to the door and opened it. And Blue Valley School District has the Blue Valley Values, which is a set of values that we would all honor, and they teach those in their curriculum. And so I just want to start the kudo parade of our K-12 partners, and I'm glad Blue Valley was here tonight to be honored.
Thank you. Trustee Lindstrom.
I have 2 things. The first one is related to one of our speakers, Mr. Cochran. I hope we give him a response, and I would encourage staff to reach out to him and visit with him about the issue. I had a chance to meet him in the audience tonight earlier, and it was as his presentation was pretty moving, and so I appreciate that. And most importantly, I appreciate the chair's response to his passion, and I think he appreciated that, and I certainly did. And then my second thing is that, Mr. President, if you need a translator for the Independence football coach, I'm available.
Should go to Independence.
We attend Bible study together. Trustee Cross, any closing comments? Trustee Cross, are you there?
The time is still ticking.
Time is still ticking. He must have taken a break.
I'm here. I don't have any comments, but thank you for asking.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Ingram.
I will just say two things. Number one, you spoke about the hospitality lunch that you attended today and how great that is. I hope all of us are planning to attend those. As we've heard this evening, it's a good way to bring some people in from the community, and I think that's, that first year I brought a few people, and now I'm kind of thinking more strategically about so many people who have a connection, who can just help us move forward in a great way like we already are. But anyway, I think it's a really good time to think strategically about those folks. The second thing is that our meeting next month will be held on Tuesday, October 16th, as a reminder that it's going to be on a Tuesday. Were you going to say that?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Wanted to make sure.
Thank you.
I didn't see it written down anywhere.
Two of us will just be coming back from the Middle East, and so we'll make sure we remember that day. Thank you very much, and I do echo a lot of what you've said about presentations and on autism. Trustee Lindstrom, thank you. And appreciated you all being at Stoll Park again the other night for that listening session. We do have an executive session tonight. I would like to entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing matters exempt from the Kansas Open Meetings Act relating to privileged conversations with legal counsel in the attorney-client relationship and consultations with the board's bargaining representation and employer-employee negotiations. This session will last 1 hour. Trustee Snyder, 1 hour. We would like to invite Joe Sopcich, Becky Senelvier, Colleen Chandler, Gurbhushan Singh, Jim Lane, Barbara Larson, Rachel Lears, Mickey McLeod, Randy Weber, who's not here tonight, Tanya Wilson, Melody Rail to join in this executive session. I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Ingram, seconded by Musil. It's now 7:02. How much time do you need for a break?
To order Jimmy Jones.
5 minutes. We'll start the executive session at 7:08.
Oh, yeah.
We are back from executive session. No action was taken. I would ask for a motion to adjourn our September meeting.
So moved.
Second? Is there a second? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.